And Tehran, Iran's skyrocketing inflation is jeopardizing food security among households in conflict, hit Iran, new figures show, as diplomatic efforts to end the war launched by the United States and Israel intensify. The people must realistically understand the conditions and restrictions of the country. President Masoud Pezeshkian told a group of officials who gathered on Sunday to discuss rebuilding structures damaged or destroyed in US and Israeli attacks.
Mehdi Hassan Miraz claimed 5 wickets to give Bangladesh a slender lead after Pakistan debutant Azanawais hit 103 on a rain-hit third day of the first test on Sunday. Pakistan made 306 all out in response to Bangladesh's first innings, total of 413 in Dhaka.
And Al Jazeera's Al-Migdad El-Rahaid reports from Tehran that Iran has sent its response to a US proposal to end the war via mediator Pakistan, according to state news agency IRNA. Tehran has been saying negotiations should focus on ending hostilities, securing guarantees against future attacks, and reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
Vladimir Putin has signalled that his country's war with Ukraine may be coming to an end, as the Russian president again blamed the West for prolonging the fighting through military support to Kyiv. Speaking after Victory Day events in Moscow, Putin said on Sunday that he was ready to hold direct talks with his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelensky, in Moscow or a neutral country.
At least 3 people have been killed in Russian attacks on Ukraine in the past 24 hours, despite a 3-day ceasefire announced by US President Donald Trump that came into effect on May 9. Regional authorities on Sunday reported 1 death each in Ukraine's Zaporizhia, Dnipropetrovsk, and Kherson regions. Anthropic and xAI announced a big partnership this week, with Anthropic buying all the compute capacity at xAI's Colossus One data center in Tennessee. On the latest episode of TechCrunch's Equity podcast, Kirsten Korosek, Sean O'Kane, and I discussed what the deal might mean for xAI's parent company SpaceX, as SpaceX prepares to go public and apparently plans to dissolve xAI as a separate organization.
And welcome back to TechCrunch Mobility, your hub for the future of transportation, and now more than ever, how AI is playing a part. To get this in your inbox, sign up here for free. Just click TechCrunch Mobility. After years of hints and preparation, the Uber-backed electric bike and scooter rental startup Lime have filed for an initial public offering. A micro-mobility company going public in 2026? Surely it's the wrong year.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif confirmed on Sunday that Pakistan had received Iran's response to a US proposal to end the war in the region. Speaking at a ceremony held in Islamabad to commemorate Marka-i-Haq, the Premier mentioned Pakistan's efforts for de-escalation between the US and Iran, stating that Chief of Defence Forces and Chief of the Army Staff Field Marshal Azim Munir had informed him a while ago that Pakistan has received Iran's response.
Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Governor Faisal Karim Kundi, in a meeting with PTI leaders on Sunday at Governor House KP, discussed the province's constitutional and economic rights, stressing on the need to present a firm case before the federal government to ensure justice and fair treatment. In a social media post on X, Governor Kundi said that PTI leaders, including former National Assembly Speaker Asad Kaiser, MNA Junaid Akbar, and other parliamentarians, called on him for a constructive exchange on the pressing issues of KP.
And Mehdi Hassan Miraz claimed 5 wickets to give Bangladesh a slender lead after Pakistan debutant Azanawais hit 103 on a rain-hit third day of the first test on Sunday. Pakistan made 386 all out in response to Bangladesh's first innings, total of 413 in Dhaka.
It is often described as Africa's biggest night in film and fashion. Celebrities, filmmakers and creators arrived at the 12th edition of the Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Awards, AMVCA, in Nigeria, with dramatic trains, sculptural gowns, shimmering fabrics and heavily theatrical designs that once again transformed the event from an awards show into a spectacle of style.
And over cold drinks in the Florida heat, this TechCrunch reporter watched from the paddock as founders and investors, the rich and the richer, mingled in search of deals. Conversations barely paused, and, except for the occasional glance at the track where drivers sealed inside multi-million-dollar machines chased the checkered flag, F1 weekend is a three-day affair, with the race as the finale. In between are kickoffs, soirees, and cocktail parties, dinners, and nightclub takeovers. Spaces where business and pleasure blur. Events like this, where wealth concentrates, have historically been places where business deals are struck. But the popularity of the F1 paddock has grown in recent years, especially among the startup and venture crowd.
Punjab Chief Minister Mariam Nawaz has inaugurated Market-i-Haq Square at Rawalpindi's Kachari Chowk, formally opening the major signal-free corridor project for the public. The well-known Kachari Chowk has officially been renamed Market-i-Haq Square. The project was built to ease traffic pressure at one of Rawalpindi's busiest junctions.
Traffic police on Sunday launched a citywide crackdown against underage and unlicensed drivers, announcing strict action against violators of traffic regulations. Chief Traffic Officer, CTO, Syed Abdul Rahim Shirazi, said vehicles and motorcycles being driven by underage motorists would be impounded and shifted to police stations in addition to issuance of chalans. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif recalled the historic response of Pakistan to India during Market-i-Haq on Sunday as he addressed a ceremony held at the Pakistan Monument in Islamabad to commemorate the episode of conflict. The conflict with India, starting from the April 22 Pahalgam attack to the end of Operation Banyanam Mahsus with a ceasefire between the two countries on May 10, has been called Market-i-Haq Battle of Truth by the state. Iran has sent its response to a US proposal to end the war in the region via Pakistan, Iranian state media reported on Sunday. The Islamic Republic of Iran sent today through Pakistani mediators its response to the latest text proposed by the United States to end the war. The official IANA news agency said, Iran has warned its Gulf neighbours that complying with US sanctions would lead to their ships face difficulties crossing the Strait of Hormuz. Military spokesman Mohammad Akramenia said vessels passing on through the vital trade route would face severe consequences if they did not cooperate with Tehran first, Iran's state-run news agency IANA reported.
Two pro-Palestinian activists who were detained in Israel after sailing on a flotilla carrying aid for Gaza have been deported. Saif Abu Keshek and Thiago Avila were taken to Israel after the global Sumud flotilla GSF, made up of 22 boats and about 175 activists, was intercepted last week in international waters near Crete, hundreds of nautical miles from Gaza. All the other activists were taken to Crete and freed. Jorge Martin charged from 7th on the grid to win the French Grand Prix on Sunday, claiming his first MotoGP victory in 588 days, while moving within striking distance of his Aprilia teammate Marco Bezzecchi in the championship battle. The Spaniard, who endured a forgettable 2025 season plagued by crashes and injuries, overtook race leader Bezzecchi with 3 laps remaining to secure his first win since winning the 2024 title.
Pakistan's civil and military leadership are currently attending a ceremony being held at the Pakistan Monument in Islamabad to commemorate Market-i-Haq, the conflict with India starting from the April 22 Pahalgam attack to the end of Operation Banyanam Mahsus with a ceasefire between the two countries on May 10, has been called Market-i-Haq Battle of Truth by the state.
And a fragile ceasefire in the US-Israel war on Iran is coming under growing strain as several Gulf countries have reported drone attacks. Qatar said on Sunday that a drone struck a cargo ship in Qatari waters, sparking a fire, while Kuwaiti and the United Arab Emirates said they repelled drone attacks.
Iran's response to a US proposal to end the war has been sent via mediator Pakistan, Iranian state news agency IRNA has reported. IRNA reported on Sunday that according to the proposed plan, the first stage of the negotiations will focus on ending hostilities.
And a cousin of toppled Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad has been charged with at least 10 crimes, including murder, torture and responsibility for massacres, in the second session of a landmark trial. Atef Najib, the former head of political security in southern Syria's Daraa province, appeared in the fourth criminal court in Damascus on Sunday in a cage and wearing a striped prison uniform.
Latest research suggests that omega-3 supplements, long marketed for brain health, are associated with faster cognitive decline in older adults. A study based on data from the Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative, ADNI, followed more than 800 older adults for up to 5 years and found that those taking omega-3 supplements experienced faster deterioration in memory and thinking abilities compared to non-users.
And Islamabad. Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi conveyed to Bangladeshi Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Shamar Obaid Islam on Sunday that there were vast opportunities for investment. And as the two sides agreed to increase cooperation in trade and business, Naqvi, who is on an official visit to Bangladesh, called on Islam in Dhaka, where the two held detailed discussions on bilateral relations, the regional situation, and Pakistan's conciliatory role, according to an official statement released by the Ministry of Interior. And one of Sri Lanka's highest-ranking Buddhist monks has been arrested and sent to remand prison over the alleged rape and sexual assault of a 15-year-old girl. The Venerable Palagama Hemerathana Thero holds one of the most revered positions in the Buddhist world, the chief prelate or custodian of 8 sacred sites in Sri Lanka. And British Army medics have parachuted onto the remote Atlantic island of Tristan da Cunha to help a British national with suspected hantavirus. The man left MV Hondius, the cruise ship hit by a deadly outbreak of the virus in mid-April at Britain's most remote inhabited overseas territory where he lives.
When Russian forces withdrew last month from the strategic stronghold of Kidal in northern Mali, retreating under the jeers of the very rebels they were sent to crush, they surrendered more than just territory. Observers characterized the withdrawal of the Kremlin-backed Africa Corps as a humiliating blow to Moscow's prestige as a leading security partner in Africa's Sahel region, widely considered the world's deadliest terror hotspot. US military intelligence gathering flight sites surging off the coast of Cuba, analysis of publicly available aviation data shows. Since February 4, the US Navy and Air Force have conducted at least 25 such flights using manned aircraft and drones, most of them near the country's 2 biggest cities, Havana and Santiago de Cuba, and some coming within 40 miles of the coast, according to Flight Radar 24.
And Kylian Mbappe will miss Real Madrid's crucial La Liga fixture against Barcelona despite training for El Clasico with his teammates before the trip to the Catalan capital. The league's leading goal scorer was left out of the Real Madrid squad named for Sunday night's game at the Camp Nou stadium in Barcelona, where the home team can be crowned Spanish champions with a win over their arch-rivals.